This is Camp Hacker. Come find our show notes and our blog for camp directors and leaders at camphacker.tv.
Hey, Camp Mavericks, and welcome to the Camp Hacker podcast. My name is Travis Allison. I am the designer of the Resilient Camp Blueprint from GoCamp Pro. I'm excited to welcome you to a new format and sort of an insertion into the Camp Hacker feed. It is kind of an interview game show. It is based on a cool NPR show that I love called Wildcard. And Matt and I have worked this summer to design some questions so we can have this fun interview format with camp people that we love. And so to begin us off, the first ever session, I am happy to welcome Chris Rehs-Dupin from TQAMP here. Chris, welcome.
Thank you so much, Travis. So excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you too. If you find the stuff that Chris says interesting and you want to hear more of his cool stuff, you can search through the GoCamp Pro podcast to find he's been helpful on lots of our shows. So we're grateful that it's you that's starting us off today. So Chris, this is totally based on Wildcard. Rachel Martin is the host, and she's designed a series of questions. She has what I don't have, which is basically a deck of cards. And she would hold up for her guest 3 cards and say, pick 1, 2, or 3. I'm not that fancy, but I'm going to give you 3. I'm going to give you a choice between 1 and 3. You pick a number. I will ask you that question. And then I will do another series. I'll pick another 3 questions, and then you do that. There's 3 sections. They are memories, insights, and beliefs. And then I have a closer that's the same as a wildcard show. It's a fun little closing exercise that I love when they do it. So we're going to straight up take this from NPR, apply it to camp directors and camp people, and go from there. So thank you, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. This is so exciting. I have no idea what's happening, and I'm also ready for it to happen.
But this is why we picked Chris to start. So there are 2 rules. 3 rules. We want you to answer the questions that I ask. You can, however, have 1 skip. So if a question comes to you like, I'm not interested, don't feel like it today, just say skip. We'll give you one of the other 2 questions from that set of 3. You can do a flip, which means at one time during the game, you can say flip, and then I answer the question first, and then you answer it. Any questions about the format?
I think I've got it.
Okay. All right. So in the memories section, this is the first section we're going to do, the first one. Pick a number between 1 and 3.
Let's do 3.
All right. Who modeled the kind of leadership that you now strive to embody, and where did you choose a different path?
Who modeled a kind of leadership that I embody? I worked with this incredible person. Her name is Paisley, and she was my boss when I worked at the Girl Scouts. And Paisley was an incredible role model and had just the most beautiful strategic vision. She was also an incredible supportive leader and was great at giving feedback. And I really appreciated the way that she really trusted her team in a way that I don't know that I've ever seen another leader do. We all went on to either run our own nonprofits as a team of people or hold high levels in different C-suite nonprofits. And I really think a lot of that came back to the way that she led with authenticity, with curiosity. You never got in trouble with Paisley, although I felt like trouble at the time because I'm a millennial and feel like I'm in trouble always. But it was always starting with curiosity. And I think where we differ is I feel like for me in my leadership, I am such a supporter of the people that I'm leading, almost to my detriment. I don't always know like when to pause my own support and really push someone. So that's something that I really learned from her. And also we have a very differing style when it comes to autonomy and agency in leadership.
Right. That's great. Thank you. Paisley sounds wonderful.
Oh, yes, she is. She is.
All right. Next 3 questions. Pick a number between 1 and 3.
Let's go with 2 this time.
Okay. What do you admire about your teenage self?
Ooh. You know what? My first inclination here is to skip this, and I'm not going to do it. I think teenage years were hard for young queer Chris growing up in Kentucky. And sometimes it's really hard to talk about it as I've kind of reprocessed through who I was then. But the reason I don't want to skip it is because I actually think I am very, very much the person that my teenage self started to become, which was somebody who could talk across differences, who could show up in rooms with people who were diametrically opposed to my humanity and still kind of hold my own. And I think that I always loved myself, even in those like really confusing teenage years. I think because of who I was and where I grew up, nobody was going to love me the way I deserved unless I did it myself. And that's something I really, really admire about that young man and the man that I've become.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. And it feels like such an perfect campy person moment, like become the person that you needed when you were a teenager.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. I'm going to take a pause from the questions just to give you a sec, Chris, to tell us a little bit about TQAMP. Some people may know about the work that you do, but I want people to be exposed to the cool stuff that you're accomplishing in the camp industry. So what's TQAMP and what do you folks do?
TQAMP is an organization that is focused on creating spaces of belonging for campers of all genders and sexualities and staff as well. But we do that by focusing on making them safer for us LGBTQIA plus campers. So we believe that camps all have room to grow when it comes to safety. And we believe that by making them safer for queer and trans campers, they actually make it safer for everyone. Because something that's unique and beautiful about the queer and trans community is this idea of finding yourself and helping people find themselves at camp is so parallel to what I believe is some of the most magic parts of camp. We do training, we do consulting, we are a collector of best practices. I'm so excited to say in just a couple of days, the work will be 5 years old. I got started in this work 5 years ago. And I'm really excited as we kind of, again, condense into best practices things that didn't exist before.
That's great. So practically, when you work with the camp, what do you focus on in the consulting? Like, what are you working through with the off season with a camp?
Well, I think that one of the first things that we do in this work is really get them to understand what they don't know. I think that one thing that camp folks are really, really good at is loving out loud. And sometimes that actually is destructive in that you think that like love is enough, and it should be. So we help camps understand that love isn't enough to change your bathroom plan. Love isn't enough to make sure that you know how to use someone's pronouns correctly. Like there's actually deep brain science to it. It's not just a feeling that we get. So helping them do that. And then we do a lot of work with gender inclusive housing models, advocating to boards. And one of my very favorite things, dealing with angry caregivers, because we know that that's an experience that folks have as they introduce inclusive practices, and ones that we can actually really, really be prepared for instead of frightened off by.
Right. Yeah, that's great. Well, I think TQAMP is doing something really special in the industry, and I'm grateful that you're doing it. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I'm grateful. Truly, it's a dream come true.
Yeah, that's great. I'm going to shift us back to the questions. I want to go into the insights category. Pick a number 1 to 3.
Okay, we did 2, we did 3. Let's do number 1.
Okay. What failure have you learned the most from?
Ooh, okay. I love to fail. I do. I really do love to fail. It's one of my favorite things to do, and I do it quite a lot. I will tell you a story of failure, and I'll try to keep it brief. But after I was working as a camp professional, I worked in the impound lot, which is where people go to get their cars when they've been getting too many parking tickets. And within a week, my boss asked me to learn how to program the parking meters. And I thought, cool, this sounds like a really fun task. And I was learning how to do it, and I learned how to change the messages. And one of The message is that I changed the parking meters to say there were these 2 spare parking meters in the lot, and I programmed them to say, this is so goofy. Parking is a dish best served cold. Where it came from, I don't know. But I push it to these like spare meters in the lot. It wasn't a week later. I was at my first staff meeting, and it was very strange. It was my first staff meeting. These were not camp people. Nobody asked me what my roses and thorns were. Nobody introduced themselves with what color they were feeling that day, and there were no snacks or fidgets. Anyways, we got to the meter maintenance guy, and he says, "We're receiving a wild message on meters on the street." And of course, my attention is like, whoa. Oh no. And he proceeds to flip through his notebook for an incredibly long amount of time until he says, "The meters are reading parking is a dish best served cold." And of course, I'm sweating. My ears are sweating. So I thought the spares, I was pushing it to this configuration, something called spares. Well, a lot of the spares had made it out onto the street. So like entire city blocks in the city of Columbus read, "Parking is a dish best served cold." And that was, to me, that's my favorite failure because it was probably one of the largest failures. But what I learned from that was a couple of things. Number one, the boss who asked me to do it gave me trust, right?
Sure.
Trusted me and gave me autonomy to learn. Should there have been guardrails? Maybe that's what his lesson from this was. Maybe I should have known what to do and what not to do. The second piece that I learned from that was like, I had this split-second moment in this meeting. I'm the new guy. I'm in a completely different atmosphere, and I had to choose accountability. And it was one of the hardest snap decisions I've ever made, because I could have they would have figured it out eventually. But to like truly stand and say like, I did that. That was me. I'm so sorry. This was not psychological warfare, was kind of the lesson of that failure for me.
Right. That's a great story. Okay. 1, 2, 3, also in the insights category.
Let's go back to 3.
Okay. What do you believe even though you can't prove it?
Oh my gosh. Okay. This is a big meta question, right? Like there's no shallow end of answering this one. And I think for me, and this gets into like the real meta beliefs that I hold, I think that something that I believe that I can't prove is that everybody is trying their best. Like everybody in the world is trying to survive and get through the day and love the people who are closest to them. And that is everyone, even the people that I deeply, deeply disagree with. I think that we are all trying our best to exist in a world that sometimes makes that really difficult. And sometimes doing our best to other people might look destructive or harmful. I can't prove it. I can't prove that there aren't bad actors. And I think, of course, people go astray. I think often that's learned behavior from harms that they faced in their life. But ultimately, I still believe that all of us has the opportunity to be and do good.
And I love that as a camp lesson. I mean, it's it took me a long time to figure that out. But to me, a lot of that is, I don't know who the quote's from, but I heard it from Tim Ferriss a lot, which don't attribute to malice, which can be attributed to laziness or self-esteem, or and it has helped me through some struggles, including a neighbor who I thought was just terrible, but I thought, I wonder if he's shy. And then with that reframing, for me, it was a easier way to be thoughtful about that and to reframe it with him. And so I love that. It's a great one.
Yeah, it's a very like Fred Rogers thing. I think he talked about, try to imagine the people that you feel like are really, really difficult as their childhood self, right?
Yeah.
Like we were all children at one time and we were all learning at one time. And if we can get people back in the frame of thinking through what someone's childhood self needed or was in deficit of, I think we can see people's humanity just a little bit clearer than maybe we can when we're overtaxed.
Yeah, totally. Okay, we are moving on to the beliefs category.
Good.
1, 2, or 3?
Let's do 1.
1. Where have you experienced awe?
Oh, I am a person who allows myself to experience awe as often as possible.
Mm.
And I think the most recent example is, as a parent, I have an 8 and 10-year-old. My awe is now their awe, right? Like, to see them really see something that is beyond incredible leaves me in a state of watching them watch the incredible. We recently took a trip to the beach, and there was this sunset, and I can watch a sunset all day long. People at the impound lot
Sure.
used to laugh at me because I'd be watching the sunset over the cars, right? And
Yeah.
all of the transmission fluid. But this one was on the beach. And so I think I've seen all the sunsets. I've seen all the sunsets on the beach. And this one was different because it had something called crepuscular rays, which is when the lights shine through the clouds. And it literally
Yeah.
looks like how you would draw a sunset with the lines coming off of it.
Yeah.
And I stood there with my kids, and I'm a person who likes to speak, if you cannot tell. And there were no words. I had no words. I could just feel that feeling in my chest of like, this is a moment I'm never going to have a moment like this one again, where I see these like crepuscular rays for the first time in real life. And instead of like trying to hold on to it and like not let it slip through my fingers, just like really existing and being in it and knowing that it would last as long as it did, and then the sun would go down, and it was beautiful in its brevity, I guess.
Yep. Okay, one more beliefs question.
Okay.
1, 2, or 3?
Let's go with 2.
Okay. What is a good summer in one sentence, and how do you know?
One sentence. See, I told you one sentence is very hard. Let's do our best. A good summer is one that is beautiful for what it is, and also wants you coming back for more. But there was a second part of the question. Did I miss that part?
Well, no. How do you know it's a good summer? So I think that it's built into what you said.
It was a SMART goal, right? If you want, it has a metric to it. If you want to come back, then it was probably a really good summer.
Yeah, totally. That's great. Well, I appreciate your thoughtful answers to that, Chris. I want to end up in a way that echoes the original Wildcard podcast. They call it the memory time machine, but I want it to be your camp memory time machine. If you could go back to any moment in your camp career, child camper director, consultant, and just spend some time there, it's not something you would change. It's not a go back and fix something. It's just a place you'd like to spend time. What would that be?
If I could spend time in any camp memory, I think it might actually be the first moments of my first staff training. To go back to that energy that you only get on your first day when you are just in awe of everything that's happening around you. And you might not even know what you're getting into, but it's like the hope and the fear and the excitement and the people, like just standing at that edge of falling in love with something that I would come to love, I imagine, for my whole life. I would love to go back and experience that again one more time.
Yeah. And for you, that was a transition. You'd been a camper and now you were a staff member.
I wasn't a camper at the camp that I started as a staff member. I actually, fun fact, was off to be a professional soccer player and didn't go to camp in high school. And I came back. I was obsessed with the show Salute Your Shorts as a child, which is a Nickelodeon short. So I always loved camp, and I wanted to find my way back. But I knew that I had found something special. Like, I knew I had figured out what the perfect thing to do between my freshman and sophomore years of college were. And I was truly in love with it from the moment that I parked my car and knew that like this was going to be home for a while.
That's great. Well, Chris, I'm so grateful for your openness, and thank you for being the first person to do the wildcard from Go Camp Pro and being a part of this insert edition of a Camp Hacker podcast. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. This was really, really fun.
Yeah, that's great. If people want to follow up, they want to investigate your work, get in touch with you and hire you, as they should do, definitely hire Chris. How do they do that?
You can find me at www.tqamp.org or at chris@tcamp.org.
Wonderful. Thanks for the evening, friends.
The Camp Hacker podcast is brought to you by Beth and Travis Allison, summer camp leadership training and marketing consultants. Thanks for listening.
Hey Camp Pros, we love that our industry is built on sharing. In order to foster that spirit, if you've gotten even one good idea from a Go Camp Pro podcast, a masterclass, from the Summer Camp Pros group on Facebook, at a conference, or wherever else, we ask that you give credit where credit is due. That way, we can encourage camp pros to keep freely sharing their brilliant ideas and make the camp industry better. Thanks very much.